A massive Kevin Durant move is now imminent as we have a huge report from Shams Charania that Durant and Rich Kleiman are looking at options out of Phoenix, and a trade is going to happen in the very, very near future. But there's a twist that throws a wrench into Brian Wright and the San Antonio Spurs plans when it comes to Kevin Durant's extension. We have to dive into what Shams said, the talk of Kevin Durant's extension, and how it's more than we were expecting, and also an update on the betting odds, which also paint a very clear picture. We got to dive into all that coming up on this episode of Spurs Digest. And Keenan, we're going to start with those betting odds. And look, I'm not much of a betting man myself. I know some people are. However, when you look at the odds, they tell a story. And as Evan Siddery says here, the Spurs are now overwhelming betting favorites to acquire Kevin Durant per DraftKings. Now, the big thing here is not that the Spurs are the favorites at minus 160, plus 600 for the Rockets, plus 800 for the Knicks. It's that just like a day or two ago, the Spurs and Rockets were hand in hand, I think, at plus 150, plus 250. A drastic shift like this, basically overnight, when no major reports had come out between those two things, that to me tells a story. And as he says, with the odds this heavy, definitely something to monitor closely. And before we dive into the extension and other stuff, Keenan, to me, this has tended in the past to paint a pretty clear picture that something is closer to getting done. It's far from a guarantee, but definitely something to monitor.
Yeah, absolutely. Minus 160 is much more likely to happen than not to happen. I am a guy who bets quite often. And the thing about it too is Vegas knows what they're doing. Like the lines they set, they don't just set them for no reason. They set them because they get intel and they know what they're doing. So with that line changing from plus money to now significant minus money, yeah, no, they know something's going on behind the scenes and they have information. So this is something to monitor, and sooner rather than later, Kevin Durant likely will be moved, and it will be to San Antonio unless some team swoops in the night and changes the offer and changes the plan.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to the offer, right? And I think that's what we're talking here. Or if some other kind of outside factor deters the San Antonio Spurs from doing it. And that's a great transition into this next segment. But before I get into it, are you subscribed to the channel? Because like 75% of you still aren't. And we have Spurs videos coming out every single day covering the KD situation, covering the draft, all that stuff. It's completely free. Hit the button down below. Join the community. We got big things coming very, very soon. But let's dive into this here now. And Evan Siddery also says, wherever Kevin Durant is traded, the strong indication is he will sign a 2-year, $120 million extension this offseason. Durant's new team would have him under contract for $175 million over 3 years. You see there, 55 this year, 57, then 63. Now, Keenan, when we've been talking about bringing Kevin Durant to San Antonio, a lot of Spurs fans, myself, yourself, Brian, all of us included, like, the ideal would have been for Kevin Durant to come in and sign at a discounted extension rate. We were talking maybe 30, 35 mil a year to help this team add some more pieces, really go after winning. Does this change your opinion of a Kevin Durant trade, regardless of what the trade package is? Again, we're hoping it doesn't involve the number 2 pick. All indications are that it would not. But do you think this could be something that deters the Spurs away if a team like Houston or New York is like, yeah, we're giving you that 2-year max extension? To me, I could see the Spurs absolutely offering it, but also I feel like that would almost have to decrease our trade package. Am I crazy for that? Like, this feels like a lot of money to tie up in a guy that's about to be 39 basically at the end of that contract.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's going to deter the trade, and here's why. How Wemby's contract, because he's going into his 3rd year. The way Wemby's contract is Kevin Durant's deal will pretty much be getting done because the 2-year extension, Kevin Durant's deal will pretty much be getting done the first year of Wemby. So that first year might be the hairy year, like where financially we can't do a whole lot, like extra. But we'll already have De'Aaron Fox under a long-term extension. We most likely won't have Devin Vassell nor Keldon Johnson on that roster or Harrison Barnes. So like the next 3 highest paid for us probably won't be on the roster any longer. Then we'll have Wemby, Chris Paul will be retired. We'll still have Stephon Castle on a rookie deal. And then you'll have the number 2 pick in this year's draft because we're not going to be trading that to get Kevin Durant. And if we do, don't do it. But we shouldn't be trading that. It'll be the 14th pick, probably Vassell and Barnes for financial purposes. But I think the way the contracts are going to line up, we're going to have the money to be able to have those players. And even so, if Kevin Durant does sign that year extension, maybe, I don't know if he'd be willing to do it. Maybe we have a team option, but he probably will want a player option so he can control his destiny rather than the team controlling his destiny. You would love to get that team option. So if he's a shell of himself in 2 years, you could move off of that contract or let him walk. But I don't think it's going to deter it because we are so young and our stars are not paid yet. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox is getting paid, but after that, our stars are truly not getting paid yet. And I think that we're going to be able to move on. We're just going to have the role players 5 through 9 are going to be different on this team moving forward. We just have to accept that. But if our 1 through 4 or 1 through 5, even with Durant, Fox, for Durant, Fox, Vassell, not Vassell, Wemby, Harper, we have
Castle.
that core. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
Castle
yeah,
as well.
exactly. Some
I was
similar
getting
letters in there.
lost in name. There's
Yeah,
too many names for us to have. I was
Vassell
getting
Castle
lost
close
in
enough.
names.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. No, but I completely get you there, right? And looking at this, like you said, 27-28 would be a bit tough. Again, we're talking 63 million for KD, and that would be the first year of Wemby's extension. And again, Fox would be under contract there. That's kind of where my problem lies, because that would give you, like, 28-29 then becomes difficult because you're losing Kevin Durant. You have De'Aaron Fox under contract. You now have Wemby under a long-term contract. That would also be the first year of Stephon Castle's extension, and you're 1 year away then from Dylan Harper's extension. So it does kind of make things a little bit tight, but considering, like, Kevin Durant's money could come off the books right as we need to extend Castle and Harper, it kind of works because, again, you can get bird rights for these guys. You can go over the cap a little bit. It just depends on what the luxury tax bill would end up being. So it is an interesting wrinkle. So we'd love to hear your thoughts down below on some of these salary cap things with KD. But we got to dive into the big Shams report here, Keenan. Now, this is the big part of the video, and we're just going to dive right into it. Shams straight up said today, I'll link this ESPN article down below, the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant's business partner, Rich Kleiman, are sorting through trade options with interested teams mainly featuring Houston, San Antonio, Minnesota, Miami, and New York. Now, look, these are a lot of the same names that we saw in this report. San Antonio, Houston, New York, and Minnesota were the top 4 options here. Miami has made it clear in recent days that they plan to participate in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. But this, to me, look, we're just hearing San Antonio named left and right every single day. Hey, maybe they heard this kind of info from Shams or something in Vegas before they put that stuff out. But the big thing, Keenan, is this is imminent. This is coming soon. Suns officials and Kleiman will continue to meet on trade conversations, with talks expected to escalate before the NBA draft later this month. Now, does that guarantee a trade will be done before the draft? Not a guarantee, but again, Keenan, like, if we're talking draft compensation, the trade should be done at the draft or right before the draft, because the team that is trading for those picks usually, almost always, will want control of who they draft, right? It's a lot better to draft or trade for a pick where you can control who it is versus trading for the player that someone else picked, right? Because that is inherently going to have less value. And with the draft coming up in about 2 weeks here now, this makes it seem like this Durant move is absolutely imminent. Wouldn't shock me to see this done within the next week, or at least announce it in 2 weeks' time. And we talked yesterday about, Bill Simmons and other anonymous reports saying that the trade is already done. Whether that's true or not, it's up to you. But again, the fact that we're hearing this is going to go down before the draft. All these signs are pointing to this, Keenan, and something's going to happen very, very soon.
Yeah, 100% something's going to happen very, very soon. And whatever team the Suns do get the package from, whether it is the Spurs, most likely it's going to be, but if it's not, if it's Houston, New York, Minnesota, whatever, they're going to want to know what pieces they're getting as well.
Yeah.
So, like, are they going to be able to, say from us, are they going to be able to get Vassell, Barnes, and Sochan, or are we going to maneuver it so we don't give up Sochan, but we do give up a few other pieces? And the thing about all those teams that are listed, we have easily the most cap flexibility, and we have easily the most parts. Houston's the only other team that rivals us. New York, they have to get rid of Karl Anthony Towns, maybe. And the thing with the Suns is when they're trading, they can't take more money back. So the team that's trading for Kevin Durant has to be willing to say, hey, I'm going to take a little bit extra money, because the Suns literally would be in the second apron, couldn't do it. So can Minnesota do that? Probably not if they want to sign Nickeil Alexander-Walker, maybe Naz Reid or Julius Randle's player option. Can Miami do that? Not really, because they're in a situation where they'd have to give up too much talent. Houston would be the only other team that really would be there. So I would be focusing on us in Houston, but I do think San Antonio is in the best position. We have so much future talent. We have so much now talent, and the ability is, which is why I think Houston and San Antonio are the 2 highest teams, because they have the realest chance to do such a thing.
I mean, I just keep getting excited day by day at the idea of, Fox, Castle, Durant, Wemby, and throw whoever else in that lineup that you want. If we have to give up Sochan, I still don't want to. Like, I'm still on board with, like, man, if we don't have to give up Sochan, I really don't want to, because I feel like he is genuinely a great fit long term alongside Wemby.
Yeah.
And, you know, to have to give up him, like, Vassell and Barnes, I'm kind of okay with when you're bringing in a guy like Durant, especially if you get him for 3 years, because there's no guarantee that Barnes is going to stick around when his contract's over. Vassell, the odd man out, especially when we draft Dylan Harper. Sochan is like a lot harder to replace, in my opinion, but still, regardless, like, you bring in this lineup, this is immediately a team that could, I don't know if I'm getting too ahead of myself, but a team that could very well fight for home court advantage in the playoffs as soon as this upcoming year, especially with how good Wemby's going to be. We see him training with the Shaolin monks, going for runs. Like, what the heck is going on there? This dude is just improving himself every single day, and the Spurs are trying to improve themselves. So let us know down below what your thoughts are on the Spurs being the now heavy favorites for Kevin Durant and the extension, and how you think it'll implicate the team. We'd love to hear from you, but that'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, but most importantly, hey, come back to this tab if you clicked away. Hit that free subscribe button, because we're here every single day with all the latest Spurs content. I'm Josh Goss, my co-host, Keenan Warner. We'll catch you in the next one.